still alive. The Godrod lives! Gator typed, "Gay Opswinson," and pressed enter, as he leaned back with the smuggest of smirks contorting through the grooves in the flesh of his face. He had done it. He had caught the notorious Godwinson, and he had done it all by himself. He didn't need any Anon's praise. He was the man who could achieve the results that Ethan Ralph wanted. He caught that person, the notorious idol of the image boards, red-handed. The thought alone made his chest palpitate in furious vigor that he had not experienced since he had imagined the warmth of a blonde Puerto Rican's loving embrace. He silently chuckled to himself, his fat rolls threatening to constrict the arteries of his heart. He leaned to his side to grab the bottle of Gatorade from the floor. As he lifted back up into his chair, relieving a joyous grunt, he realized that the bottle was empty. He threw it across the room, aiming for the pile of empty bottles, some of which had been lying around for 2 weeks, waiting to be brought to the trash. He coughed, and for a brief, frightening moment thought, cardiac arrest, as he slowly lifted his mass from the worn-out chair, wiggling to release the adhesive bonding the sweat had formed between his flesh and the wood. He stomped off into a quest for a new full bottle. After having searched through a pile of bottles filled with piss, he returned 5 minutes later, steadily slipping back into his chair. Carefully, lest the chair break under the momentum that his 600-pound body could create in a sudden loss of composure to gravity. The now cooled down sweat briefly bringing a moment of cooling refreshment tingling down his spine. He glanced at the digital clock next to his screen, and through the layers of several months of dust he could make out what time it was, but not that the time mattered anyway. He pushed his hand through a forest of empty candy wrappings to reach for the mouse, steadily maneuvering his fingers into a position that would allow him to click without having his fat fingers roll the mouse wheel. Finally succeeding, he scrolled down the thread that had become occupied by these vile people who had made fun of Ethan Ralph. Those people, hiding behind the cowardice known as anonymity, had the audacity of claiming that they were more successful than him, that they were smarter than him, that just by laughing at him they were right, and he was wrong. He attempted to resist his deep inner urge to reply after reading post after post after post, mocking his appearance, demeanor, his intelligence, his occupation, the sound of his voice, and everything he had been saying.
These fucking incels, man.
But one post, in particular, attracted his attention. It was a screen cap from his private Discord server, where he had typed mere minutes before. The poster revealed that the user who had talked about Godwinson contacting his much-desired and beloved Kirsten had in fact been incorrect. Shannon's face turned pale as a man who barely saw 2 hours of sunlight a week could get. He had not expected this. But his plan had been so perfect. How could they? How could he, the base Shannon himself, the eternal old fag, have fallen for such an obvious ruse? All the built-up anxiety came crashing back through as he silently shed a tear, alone, in his one-bedroom apartment.
I can see you, Kraut. I can smell your ops, Kraut. It is me, the first fan. I have followed you for years. I know you inside out. I have studied your life as if it was my own. I can see you hiding in your trout bunker, plotting, scheming, doing whatever you can to take my precious carrot from Ralph. Peace be upon him.
It's not true.
I will have you know that nobody escapes me.
What?
I have been on the board since I was a little boy, and still am now that I am a little less little boy. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the skies until Ralph made me wear a mask.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lighting they, do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright. Their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learn, too late, they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men, near deaf, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now, with your fierce tears I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah!
My name is Mama and I travel to the Congo, and I find that there is no cheese and there is no food. And then I met KF, and he brought me to Quebec to make movies and find the cheese in the North Pole. And then I met him dinner for Christmas, and now I'm here saving the white race. And JF, oh JF, he is the leader of the white race.
Welcome to This Week in Nectar. So many things have been happening this week, it's almost impossible to keep a top of. PPP attended the Black Lives Matter protest with Surfer today. The 4K drone footage was fully capturing all of the autistic events. We're about to announce a new co-host, but first we're going to talk about Leo being dropped. PPP is going to give a potted chronology of the snake that is Leopirate.
Well, folks, Leo's been dropped from This Week in Nectar. He really made the choice himself when he decided to say that this is Kekistan 3, this is a crusade, this is cringe and gay. You know, when he's been a part of it this whole time, and he's just decided to snake on us publicly on his Discord, ladies and gentlemen. But so far as the full chronology of the snake go, I have a video that's coming. The chronology of the snakening. But before even we get to the chronology of the snakening, the reality of it is we're going to have the snakening. It's being released. 3 hours of the Leo snakening. 3 hours of Godwinson supposedly snaking. You be the judge, folks. You be the judge of who's the snake here. And then as we go through the chronology of the snake, we'll clarify exactly who the snake is, exactly who it is, and people will find out, and they'll know, and they'll know, and that's all I gotta really say about Leo right now.
Right, so stay tuned for 3 hours of gaslighting Leo. But first, it is the announcement of our new co-host, our new technical operator. Now, he comes to us from the dark side of the universe. I had to sacrifice a small goat to summon him. PPP, would you like to announce who our new co-host is?
Well, we drew lots, and there were many names in the lot, many huge names, people like Coach Red Pill, you know, people that are high-tier echelon co-hosts. Many names were suggested, but ultimately the Holy Spirit guided us in terms of our selection. As we reached in and we grabbed the name out, it was blessed by the Lord, and the name was Kraut. The name was Kraut, a man who is now fully redeemed, a full redemption arc for Kraut.
Kraut redemption arc, ladies and gentlemen. Kraut redemption arc.
I'm not gonna talk a lot today. For today, I'm just going to ensure that everything runs smoothly. So I'm gonna keep the stream running, and I'm gonna go and cook myself something, and I'll be back in an hour, I guess.
That's more than Leo could do.
Okay.
Based Kraut. Based Kraut. One for based Kraut. One for the redemption arc of Kraut. So many ones. Thousands of ones. Kraut fully redeemed. So, let's just get into this, shall we? The Black Lives Matter protest, PPP. First of all, what alerts you to this happening in your own hometown?
So, just last night, I'm just chilling. It's like 8, 9, maybe 10 o'clock at night, somewhere in that range. And I just so happened to see on my phone, I see this news article from our local newspaper saying that Black Lives Matter will be marching tomorrow, that 400 people have confirmed that they're going, that they're demanding that the police chief kneel to them or lay down as some sort of like General Zod. You will kneel before Jog! You will kneel to me, Jor-El! You know, some sort of like crazy power trip on the police chief. And the police like refused yesterday to do it, you know? And so I hear that at noon they're going to meet to march, and then they're going to march to the police station and hold a rally on the steps of the police station until someone comes out and kneels to them. So this is what I'm told. So me and Surfer say, we're not going to go. We're not going to go. It's too risky. It doesn't make sense to go. You know, people are crazy out there. We've been seeing the news and on the TV. But today I woke up early and I just thought to myself, no, I must go. I must be a hero. My cape must fly so high. You know, I have to just go be the superhero today. So I went.
Well, remember, PPP, no justice, no peace. Fuck the police.
Yeah, that's what we were hearing, you know. So I put on my most stained and disheveled clothing that I could find, you know, to fit in with the Antifa leftist, you know.
To be honest, you were probably the most well-dressed member of the fucking congregation that turned out there, right?
Yeah. We start walking downtown. We see, like, posters up for George Floyd or whatever his name is. We see people have
George Floyd, PPP, the gentle giant, the hero of our times. Get his name right. This man is a martyr. This man died because there was racism inherent in the institution of the police.
I don't know. I heard he was high on like heroin or something when he died.
No!
I don't know. I forget exactly what the drug is. It was fentanyl. I heard he was on fentanyl at the time of his death. But yes,
gentle giants can take drugs and have a criminal record, PPP, as long as they are, and do 5-year prison stretches. Gentle giants.
Wonderful. You know, we walk downtown. We start to notice, like, about 5 minutes walk from where this is going to be, we start to notice these, like, land whale Antifa women. Just, like, all these land whale Antifa women with, like, dyed hair and, like, the fucking shit, like, the boots and, like, the whole, like, 9 yards SJW look.
Can I just ask you a quick question? What is the Antifa population of Peterborough? Just as you know it.
It's pretty high. I don't know. They got 1,000 likes on their Facebook page.
You see, I was thinking these guys are driven in from neighbouring towns, maybe Toronto or something. But you're saying that these are homegrown fucking Antifa terrorists.
I don't know how many are homegrown versus bust in. I'm going to tell you, a lot of them probably have been bust in because there's so many people here. And usually for a protest in Peterborough, you might get a few dozen people. And that's honestly what I expected this to be going down there.
This is why I was surprised.
I was expected to see about 40 people. I was going to laugh at it and walk away. But then
when you called me, you said there was 500 people. And I was like, surely not. Surely the population of the entire town is 500.
There had to be at least 500 people in the march, at least, you know. I initially thought maybe 300-400, but I started to think by the time you watch all those people march by, then you see the size of the crowd, and then more people are streaming in. The crowds were massive, and you just saw them, and the crowds were 99% white. It was just shocking to see. Like, there was a few black people here and there, one guy dressed up like a jihadi and like a full face mask there. I don't know what that was, with a megaphone shouting. So, we follow this thing. We cut down after we follow these like SJWs and these black women down to the event. And, we record them marching by, and then we cut ahead. We cut through the mall up and cut them off. And we start to like film the protest marching down to the police station. But then they just totally cocked and didn't fucking march or assemble to the police station. Instead of gathering on the police station steps to demand that one of them come out to kneel, they went to Confederation Park instead. So we followed them there, and I was filming. Everything was fine. We get up real close to these people. You can see lots of their faces, even though they're trying to cover them out of shame or out of fear of the virus or whatever. You see a lot of these people real ashamed. They're trying to hide their faces. And we go through the crowd, and then these two women decide that they're going to be superheroes. They're like, "Excuse me, you need to be wearing a mask if you're going to be walking through." And Surfer just flat out tells them, "I don't believe in the coronavirus." He just tells them, "I don't believe." I go, "Well, I don't necessarily co-sign everything Surfer says. I don't necessarily co-sign everything he says, but, you need to fuck off," basically. We walk around, and we're filming this, and they're on the cenotaph, where the names of veterans who've died in the community for our freedom are. And they're just trampling all over it for an American protest. And just what you're seeing in Canada, you're seeing like an Americanization of the country's culture, where instead of it being like cultural events in Canada that determine what we believe in politically or culturally, it's like cultural touchstones in America completely influence us and polarize us as people and cause these problems, and you just see them acting like animals out there. You know what I mean?
Well, I had to jump in there. I didn't see any violence. I didn't see any fires. I didn't see any looting. They seemed quite peaceful.
Well,
Mostly because it was a white protest, right?
Well, exactly. When I say that you saw like violence or whatever, I'm talking about in America, But this is the first step, when you start to have these huge crowds of people in the street and they're demanding the police kneel to them, But what's just crazy is that the police commissioner, after we had left, actually knelt to them. He actually bowed down.
So this is fully confirmed now. He's actually cucked to them, right?
He's actually done it. He's
taken the knee.
And I had told the police before I left, I said to some of them, I said, if the chief actually kneels to these people, no one will respect your authority again. When you're trying to deal with drunkards downtown or like gangs or, bikers or crazy people, they're not going to respect your guys' authority if you're just kneeling to this and just tolerating them. Now,
Sargoy is saying that he should have committed seppuku. Do you think he should?
The police commissioner.
100%.
I think he should resign for allowing this to have taken place in the first place and having to kneel. The Canadian police departments aren't like American police departments, really. Sure, there's the odd thing they do that's quite shady or shitty. But, it's not like they come to your house guns drawn, like SWAT style. Like, I've been swatted a few times now. And they usually just come and knock the door and you just chat with them for a minute or two and they usually fuck off. They're not that bad compared to like American police who are just like apparently savage. So it's just crazy that you have all these white people out on the street for racial injustice, in this community that's mostly white anyway, where there's very little crime anyway, and they're sitting here.
There was an interesting interaction during that video you put up, where at the moment they all start kneeling, you start bearing, you start going, ah, ah. And then what happens is one of those people says, "We're learning about racism."
Yeah.
We're learning about racism. And you say,
You're a
white male.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's scope for them to learn about racism, PPP, by attending this riot? Protest?
I think they know. I think the people that are kneeling there know all about racism. I think they'll be the first people to tell you all about racism all day, every day, 24/7, 365. Every single person there already knows everything they need to know about racism. And the fact they're kneeling justifies that. And they really now know everything about oppression. They're now slaves. They're literally on their knees, like trying to replicate black slavery. You have these cheap token white appeasement efforts by kneeling to them. As though, this makes up for hundreds of years in chains, guys. We're tokenizing.
Well, there was a poignancy that they knelt before the Confederacy Memorial.
The Confederacy Memorial, the World War II Veterans Memorial. The war that everybody goes back to justify everything. The sum total extent of most people's knowledge of history.
Was that not a racist war, man?
Oh, it was a racist war. That's right. That's right. To defeat the Nazis, it was a racist war. I know it was a racist war. Winston Churchill, he was a bastard.
So what's your hot take on the fact that they fled from the police station? They didn't even go to the police station. What, do you think they're cowards, or do you think
they are cowards? They just backed off because they didn't manage to get in even enough black people or anybody who had any sort of masculine energy to them or aura to them who was going to be able to tell the police what to do. They just had a bunch of women. It was like 80 to 90% women. And like the few men that were there were all these like white, pardon my language here, soy boys, just total weaklings, just scrawny, chicken-necked little losers who are trying to like pretend that they're heroes, and they're trying to film me. So I just showed my asshole to them right then and there. I just pulled down my pants.
Now you display it twice, do you not?
Yeah, well, because initially when I'm walking away from them kneeling and going, bah, and they're like, no, you need to stay around and see what happens. They're like trying to threaten me. Stay around and see what happens. So then I just pull down my pants and just show them my ass. Like the whole crowd who's kneeling and have turned around, And then later on the street, because I went to go get a Gatorade, I was like Trayvon going to get an Arizona iced tea. And I come back up the street and these thugs, they're trying to film me to intimidate me. So I just yelled at them, you like what you see, and I pulled down my pants and showed them my ass again, and I told them, like, you want to come do something? You won't do anything. And they didn't cross the street to fight me. And I just went safely about my business home, And that's basically what really happened. They're just.
Why do you think those two women were so confrontational? I mean, you weren't making a scene. You were just there filming the protest. Why do you think they were so confrontational with you?
Because we didn't obey their gay authority concerning the coronavirus. They were like, you need to wear a mask. As soon as they
also, I mean, you're supposed to be kept 6 feet apart, and no one was observing that rule.
Nobody's observing that, right? So everybody's just full of shit about social distancing or the coronavirus. The newspaper reports are saying they socially distanced. The newspaper reports are saying it was totally peaceful. There was no intimidation. The newspaper reports make no mention of us, which, is positive in a way because I displayed the starfish.
Well, I suppose in many ways, PPP, that you and Surfer were the two-person counter-protests that usually accompanies these things, right?
I had to fight them. The headlines are going to read, local white supremacist destroys town,
Well, instead of being the three dissenters, it was you and Surfer.
Yeah.
Showing bodily parts.
Do you notice, like, children, like, marching along here, like, a little kid on his bicycle with.
Now, do you think that's irresponsibility on behalf of the parents to allow them to be exposed to this, or
is that a rhetorical question? Does it need answering? Like, people should know that that's endangering to these children. Like, if they've not seen what's been going on in the States, or even what happened in Peterborough 2 years ago with the Antifa people, they know that this could easily descend into violence, and they have their kids out there. Apparently some children were as young as 2 years old, being drug around in like carts, and there's like, I have footage of this stuff, it's just crazy. Even the newspaper articles report this, but they spin it as a positive thing because the children are getting to learn about racism. And they get, so they're learning. They get to be like little Martin Luther Kings.
Maybe they will learn not to be racists when they grow up.
Let's hope. Yeah, by seeing this, I'm sure they're inspired not to be racist. Being told to kneel down, kneel down before these people. That won't ever inspire resentment in people. That won't ever cause people to not like you and think that you're trying to rule over them. No. Just demanding that authorities kneel to you is perfectly normal and natural. And it's a good thing, really. It's for our own good.
What percentage of people would you say that knelt? I mean, I didn't see everybody kneeling.
They all.
I don't think I saw everybody kneeling, right? I think there were a few people just sort of looking down their phones in shame, right? So what would you say, a good 90-something%? Or
I would say a good 90-something% eventually knelt. I was like one of the only like maybe 12 people standing who had dignity and who were like, what? And there were like media members who didn't kneel. The media were just not having it, But like, other than the media and like me and Surfer and like, I don't know, 2 other local yokels maybe who just happened to be walking by and were like, I'm not kneeling down. It was all like just the sea of sheep, and they needed to be bawed at. And, none of them stood up to do anything. They all sat there kneeling as I yelled at them and bawed at them and shamed them. One guy tried to like screech at me, and he just got shut down. So, they're all just bitches, and I called them punks and they did nothing, and when you're in prison and you're called a punk and you do nothing, then the green light is on to rape you all day, every day, and you just become the prison prag bitch, And that's the reality. And those people have no street cred and they're a joke. That's the reality. That's all.
So how does your adventures into the riots compare with Dick Masterson's and Vito's adventures?
Well, I think it was pretty successful in that none of us got arrested.
Sure.
We didn't get shot with bean bags. We didn't get pepper sprayed. I didn't fail to cross an I-beam. I did wade into the crowd with my arms spread like I was like a savior or something. But other than that, I think we had a much more fun time. And I think we got some great footage. We didn't get people like smashing shops or lighting things on fire, because Canada is it's different. The people here are very soft and subservient, and they're not very outspoken or boisterous. They just kind of sit there inhibited, and they kneel down. People didn't want to kneel down, right? But what happens in the Canadian psyche is there's this mentality to follow what the group is doing out of a respect for like a shared cultural heritage or something. People are like, well, we gotta kneel down. Everybody else is doing it. And so like the group mechanic to obey the collective takes over in the minds of these people. And that's why they end up kneeling down. Surfer said he felt it even. I felt it too.
You felt the power to kneel?
You felt compelled. You felt compelled to do so. Because
but PPP,
everybody else
no man should
doing
kneel before anyone except for God, right?
That's right, And that's why we did. We retained our dignity. Everybody else fell to the peer pressure of kneeling. And like the first people dropped to their knees, they were so quick to do it. There were people who were eager to do it, and they were desperate, like lapdogs. You saw that one girl up front who really wants to sleep with a black guy. She was on her knees right away, And you just saw throughout the crowd, just slowly people accepting that the peer pressure was going to make them do this, or they would have to leave, And I just chose to leave. I said, fuck you, and showed them my
So
asshole.
how long were you actually at the rally there?
Well, maybe an hour.
Right. And how long did it go on for?
It went on for like another hour and a half after that.
Sure.
And then they just
like disbanded. I say,
the police chief just knelt down, and then they all just left.
Like I say, it was quite a cordial sort of march through the streets, really. And even their chanting was quite tame. I did hear no justice, no peace. But I don't think I heard fuck the police joining that.
Well, the newspapers report that they played fuck the police.
Right.
On their speakers, I guess.
But if that's the extent of these people's violent action during this peaceful protest, I think we can let that slide, right? But when we look at other riots that are happening not far from you in Toronto, right, we're seeing a completely different mirror image. And why would you say that is?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the population of Peterborough, you see that it's mostly white,
Sure.
Students and the elderly, and those
Sure.
people don't tend to destroy property or loot or riot. And there's not as much racial tension just because of the demographics. Whereas in a city like Toronto that's very multicultural, there is a lot of, let's say, like demographic tension between the various ethnic groups that causes it to pop off real quick. Plus, there's millions of people there. So, a small percentage of 1 million people turn out, it's a real problem. Whereas a small percentage of 70,000 turn out, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a few hundred people,
What do you think would tip these people that live in your area into violence?
I think if they saw somebody that they thought was a white supremacist, like last time they did that, like some like white nationalist guys showed up to the Antifa event and they were wearing like the what was it, the cross of Odin or some shit like this. They were like LARPing as pagans, and like the Antifa people tried to fight them and beat them up, and then they were smashing cars, and they lit like a police car on fire, I believe. They blocked like the elderly and abused them. So I've seen them get violent. I mean, they threatened to kill me and kill Surfer when we were sitting on the steps. We have video footage of all this shit, So it wasn't as bad as the last time, I'll tell you this now. But, it could descend into violence at any time, really.
Well, is there likely to be a follow-up protest to this? Or is this it now? They've had their day of learning about racism, and that's it. They've had their 2 hours.
They've had the police chief kneel to them, but the mayor hasn't knelt yet. So maybe the next weekend, it's the mayor will have to kneel for the sins of the people. And
the mayor's head on a silver plate, right? So when this police commissioner kneeled, right? Did they just start urinating on him and completely take away any shred of dignity the guy had left?
Yeah, they just dummied him. He knelt down. He kissed the boot of the black guy with the ISIS kind of face covering. It was tough to watch.
Now, in your videos, I've definitely been seeing, or maybe it's just my eyes, but I think I've been seeing like photos of George Floyd on signs asking for justice. Yeah. How many people there were sort of talking about George Floyd? How many people had him in their hearts as they were marching through?
I don't think anybody even knew why they were there, really. They're just there. They're just there because they don't want to be inside anymore. They don't want to deal with the coronavirus. So all these people are turning out with their kids, and they're just, we're having fun on a Tuesday afternoon because nobody's working. Woo! There's supposed to be a virus. People are supposed to be socially distancing. Nobody's socially distancing. It's just funny.
So it's just an excuse, as you're saying, to just get out of the house, to stretch their legs a bit.
Yeah.
Now, why was there such hostility that you weren't wearing a face mask?
Well, it's funny because nobody there is socially distancing anyway, and like a face mask isn't really going to fucking help you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not really going to help you that much when you're in this close proximity to hundreds and hundreds of other people. But they're just upset because we're not obeying their stupid rules about face masks. Well, fuck, I don't have to obey your rules. It's not the law. You're not anything. You're not even a security guard with a license. You're not a cop. You're not anything. So I don't know why you're trying to tell me what I have to do. I actually don't have to listen to you. And if you keep talking, like, you might get punched out. Like, I honestly just wanted to sock this woman in the face and just teach her some respect. When you're just trying to follow people around and like bother them about wearing a face mask. Like, again, you don't have any authority because the government told people to wear masks. You just have no authority. You're just a lowly citizen. Some fat, lowly land whale citizen trying to tell me what to do. I think not. But somebody did give us a mask so that the mob didn't just try and lynch us for not wearing masks and then clap.
Now, they handed you the mask because they thought you were standing in solidarity, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said, right? Yeah.
Fuck.
Did you show any signs that you were solid with these people other than just walking around with them?
Well, of course I was dressed in like filthy clothes, decrepit, hadn't showered in days, just like
and they spotted one of their own.
Reeked of malt liquor and pot, just, hey guys, I'm just obese and I'm heavily breathing. Like, he's one of us. He has glasses too. Look at him. And they were like, wow, he's one of us. But then Surfer kind of gave the game away. He's, that guy's a Jew or whatever, or these, look, I get it. Women aren't good at math, that's not 6 feet. I know women aren't good at math, but that you need to back up, Surfer. And then the cover was blown. The cover was blown, folks. And then when I didn't kneel, it was just a confirmation that I was nothing but a white supremacist devil who was there to disrupt this protest. And then I was.
Well, you were part of the counter-protest, right? Were you aware of any other counter-protest going on? Because very often there's usually a counter-protest that's either set up by Soros or they're
George
instigated by. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see anybody just lobbing bricks. There wasn't anything crazy. There wasn't pallets of bricks being laid down, and there FBI agents roaming the area. CSIS agents. I don't think we saw that.
Now, you said you saw Toad McJudas walking in line with the old man and the children.
Yeah, he was there. Toad McJudas was actually there. We have Toad's docs. We have Toad's full info. We would never ever reveal it or disclose it. But, we matched Toad facially to a man in the crowd. And, the folks over at To Catch a Judas, are very interested in our footage of Toad McJudas because they've been tracking his illicit activities for months. Toad groveled and actually put a double-headed dragon dildo up his ass for the To Catch a Judas people because it was a sponsorship for a porn site and they promised him $10,000. Toad never received his $10,000, but he will be receiving a wellness check from the To Catch a Judas folks, and they will tell him to take a seat and ask him about his Judas-like behavior because we now have verification of Toad in the wild being a Judas, marching with Antifa, marching in solidarity. And what a Judas piece of shit he truly is, selling his soul for 26 pieces of silver, which, by the way, folks, they didn't get this month. Ladies and gentlemen, we got them. They got nothing. No money this month. No money for Jim, for
Well, I suppose we should cover that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Have you heard anything from Dick Masterson about setting up another alternative to New Project 2, about even salvaging New Project 2? Or is Dick Masterson just walking through the riots now, forgetting about all of this? After his confrontation with Xander, I think he dropped it all completely, right?
It's just totally radio silent right now, boys. Fucking nothing. Nothing. Nothing from Dick. I mean, the only update we've had really is from Josh. And he made this post explaining on the pay pig section of Kiwi Farms so that the larger audience wouldn't even see it because he was ashamed. But he basically is like, okay, look, the money is being held for at least 120 days. I'm not going to get any money until then through Dick. So now, guys, what I need you to do is I'm going to get a private payment processor. And I need 40 brave pay pigs to give me $100 a month.
I think that's a good idea, to be honest. I mean, as long as it's secret from Vordrak. You just have to keep these things secret. And then he can live and survive in the Siberian wilderness. I think that's a good idea. He just needs to keep it private, I think.
Yeah,
if it's public, you've got fucking Khan out there, right? After Captain Kirk. We'll follow him like the ends of the earth.
Breath,
this is it, right? The obsession, the Moby Dick style obsession with Josh.
The white whale, Jenny Juice.
I think it was always a bad idea to have any sort of public money going in because it was always going to be visible to either people like Vordrak or people like Zoom or whoever, right?
Yeah.
So it does seem like a step in the right direction. If he gets 40 guys, we're going to give him $100 a month to keep the site up and keep Josh alive. That seems like a good idea to me.
No, it's certainly better than him being in the pocket of the New Project 2 Gopal, where he's beholden to Dick Masterson's every whim and every desire, and his success is tied to Josh's success. So it is a genuine improvement, but it's just sad that he has to go before his audience there and grovel in the gutter, and it's tough. It's tough for him. It's tough to be Josh.
PP Puma says, imagine having a job. Should Josh just get a real job and support the Kiwi Farm site with a warehouse job where he's stacking shelves?
Well, he just claims he can't get one, but he's too good for one. He's not going to do it. But I mean, eventually it's going to get to the point where he's either going to stack the boxes or he's going to shake the cup for change in front of a Walmart, So that's, there's two destinies here, really. Or, he could just try and clean up his fucking act, hope Vordrak just mysteriously dies in the next few days, I guess, and then his life will be wonderful. But, if that doesn't happen, he's probably going to end up either stacking boxes or rattling a cup for change. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that, really.
No, of course not. I suppose all it takes is just one guy out there who's unhinged enough to go after another individual, and they will just ruin their lives, regardless of who it is. That's what happens. One guy just goes postal one day and will get you banned from every payment processor going. We'll contact every, school or job or house you've ever been to and just deperson you completely. And so, one does understand the plight of Josh, really, especially after speaking to Vordrak.
Yeah, it's a tough position for him to be in. I hope that he figures it out. I hope he finds Christ, gives his life to Christ, and turns a new leaf and, makes the Kiwi Farms a website dedicated to Jesus. instead of trolling. But I think hell will probably freeze over before that time. But you never know. You never know. Maybe Janny Juice can sweep it up in heaven. Maybe, who knows?
Now, Odin is saying, what about Josh opening up an OnlyFans? That seems to be all the rage with all of these e-celebrities now. I hear Andy Warski's got an OnlyFans in the pipeline there. What do you think about that idea, man?
Well, I think that there's some people out there who definitely going to pay. They'll definitely pay Piggy Josh for his OnlyFans. They want to see him dance and do the truffle shuffle. They want to see Josh's starfish. They want to see, Josh like jerk himself off. They want to see Josh's feet. They're just sick people, And this is probably where Josh might end up. He might end up cam whoring. He might get maybe $200, $300 a month this way. And, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? And he's going to say yes.
But if it keeps up the purity of form, then surely anything is worth that. Anything is worth preserving the purity of form, PPP.
Yes. The purity of form is all that matters. All shall respect and show deference to the purity of form that is Kiwi Farms. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh! But the poor guy, he's trapped in Siberia. There's no escape.
Now, do you think it was a bad idea to interview Vordrak?
No, I don't think so. I think
it was good to have the guy's story out there because, I didn't really know who he was, I have to say.
Yeah, I
thought he wanted to feed Josh to the pigs. I thought it was that guy, really.
Yeah, but it turned out not to be. And the guy was
turned out to be an even crazier guy.
Surprisingly eloquent, surprisingly composed, and well put together. And he had his points, and he hammered them out in a quick succession. And it was bang, bang, done.
The thing was, right, every question about New Project 2 definitely worked its way back to Josh in a surprising manner. The guy's encyclopedia.
That's why we didn't press
knowledge of Josh.
The guy has the ultimate knowledge of Josh. He has more knowledge about Josh in his head than Josh probably has about himself.
Sure, and this was my take as well. Like, if only they worked together and were friendly, they could probably accomplish.
Well, it's just never going to end up happening. But he's just determined to see Josh get wiped out, and Josh has to figure it out. Again, I don't think that by just interviewing the man or asking him a few questions, I have some sort of like new loyalty or association to that guy. I just wanted to see what his take on things was because...
And this was my thing as well. Like, I didn't know the guy's story. I haven't got the patience or energy to go through the 400 pages on a Kiwi Farms thread to try and work out who this guy was.
And the ultimate great thing about it, of course, is that it's led to the snakening. It's led to all things being revealed.
Yeah. It's led to Leo crying and hyperventilating that we should scrub the audio of him talking. In the interview. So because he doesn't want to be associated with Vordrak.
It's led, and the showdown and the audio.
Even though the guy, Leo's like Vordrak's friend.
There's a 3-hour audio tape of Leo recording Godwinson trying to snake him, folks. And it's going to be going live soon, folks.
It's 3 hours of gaslighting Leo. It's amazing. You're going to have a great time. There's some great stories in there.
No, Godwinson, no. You are totally forthright in that conversation.
You're all going to have a great time. And then I think you're going to give your take on afterwards, aren't you? The chronology of Leopirate the Snake?
Yeah, we're going to build on the chronology there. We're going to get it set up nice and good so that everybody can exactly understand what's taken place, what sort of just absolute disgraceful snakening that we have just seen in the last fucking couple of days. The horse shit I've been having to deal with in private, having to hold the trial of Godwinson. We literally
Do you know what I mean?
We literally put Godwinson's on trial.
Literally on trial.
We had to put him on trial.
Godwinson was in the dock.
Leo as the prosecuting attorney, and I have to judge this. And this is what's happening. Godwinson has to make his defense before the Grand Inquisitor Leo, who's just gone full Catholic Inquisitor and is just trying to brand Godwinson. You're a gamer, Godwinson. You're an evil man. You're a gamer, Godwinson.
You worked for ContraPoints, Godwinson.
You worked for ContraPoints. Where were you in 2013 on this date? Were you engaged in a gay op with something awful on SRS?
You know where I was in 2013?
Let's not forget.
I was a child.
Let's not forget the greatest allegation of all. That Godwinson is a sadomasochistic homosexual with a feeder fetish.
This is where we are at this point. This is where we are at this point.
And as soon as I heard that, I just knew like he's reaching. He's desperate. He's trying to emotionally manipulate me. And so now, Leo is getting screwed. The snakening is being released. He thought he would blindside everybody with the snakening. But it's in fact he that's been blindsided at this tribal council and voted off the island. He plotted this grand conspiracy with his hidden immunity idol of the secret recording. But at the end of the day, I stole it and screwed him. And he's played a false idol. He's been voted off the island, folks. The tribe has spoken. It's over. Kraut is the new master of audio engineering. Amazing.
Just on a serious point, PPP, because you brought this up to me and I've been thinking about it pretty much all day. You said that just Seventh-day Adventists in general tend to twist scripture, tend to use it as a cover for their own darkness, I suppose. Would you just like to elaborate on that? Because I thought it was a good thought.
Just think, all you gotta really think is they worship on Saturday. So they're basically crypto Jews. I mean, let's face it, folks. They're not even real Christians. They're a cult. They've been named and anointed as a cult by many reputable sources over the years. They've tried to rehabilitate their image, but they are a cult. They're a doomsday cult. And all the members of this doomsday cult are obsessed with knowing when Jesus is going to come back. Even though the Bible tells us that no man will know the day or hour of his coming, and he will come as though a thief in the night. So there's no way of knowing. These people just want to play like they're in the Da Vinci Code, or they're in like some movie like National Treasure or Indiana Jones. They're putting together the pieces.
Or they're in Gamergate.
They're going to solve it all. And, they have these conspiratorial schizo minds, which leads a guy into Gamergate and all this crap. And, he just has a puritanical mindset because he's in a cult. So now, like, video games are bad because he was in Gamergate. He can't partake of video games. He can't partake in saying any foul language. He won't drink caffeine because caffeine is a drug. He's just given himself over to a puritanical cult, and he believes that we're Satan worshipers because we worship on Sunday, because the sun is pagan and the Catholic Church instituted this to try and integrate paganism into Christianity and subvert it, and we're already on like the 9th layer of delusional schizo posting before I even start to debunk it. Do you know what I mean? It's just fucking insanity. The Bible says that the congregation worshipped on the first day of the week, Acts 15. So, like, I just don't understand where Leo is coming from.
Well, I mean, my problem is, PPP, like, for real here. The guy pretends to be this puritanical Christian, and then he's secretly recording everyone's calls. He's snaking on Toad, who's supposed to be his best friend. You know what I mean?
Him on tape saying, "I'm not a snake. I don't record people's calls. I don't record DMs." What got me is, he wouldn't record Josh, he wouldn't record Toad, but he would record you. And that probably means he's recorded me. So I look forward to the leak of me gaslighting fucking Leo into next week and making him doubt his own reality as he goes into a schizophrenic spiral. I don't know what to tell him. Like, he's going to release these tapes. He thinks he's a real hero because he recorded us. But at the end of the day, there's really no difference between us and these recordings and us in real life.
So this is the thing. Like, we are not like Ethan Ralph or Gator or dare I say it, Sargon and Coach Red Pill. We are the same people we are here than we are in private, are we not?
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same. I mean, we're just talking in private, and now that we're talking publicly, it's just a mere extension of the previous private conversations we were having. So it's just complete insanity. This guy is just a total snake and a piece of shit, and I just have no respect for him. And he was foolish enough to trust me with his tape, with his smoking gun evidence, which is now going to be released to the world, and he's just an idiot. The snakening is here. People can decide for themselves. People might say Godwinson was the snake.
I think, like I said, when I was on trial, I said, you will decide for yourselves. You will decide for yourselves, surfer,
but people decide
video game snake.
Who's the snake? Who's the real
You will
snake?
all decide for yourself. And I walked out of that court vindicated. A free man.
Yeah.
Innocent.
We're gonna find out who the real snake is. The audience will decide. And maybe it will be that you've been devoured by the snake and it's over for you.
I will accept the judgment of the crowd. Personally, I've already been acquitted, so I'm riding high at the moment. But I will accept the judgment of the crowd. People can hear the 3 hours of gaslighting Leo, and they can make their own decision. But I just want to first of all apologize to some people that warned me off having Leo on as a co-host way back when we started This Week in Nectar. I want to apologize to Coach Red Pill, who said I should have fed Leo to the wood chipper, that I should have cut Leo up into 1,000 pieces and fed him through a wood chipper. I want to apologize to Coach Red Pill. I want to apologize to Josh for calling Leo a fucking degenerate guy who wants to fuck his own dog. I want to apologize to Josh. I want to apologize to Jim for Leo's faggotry and promising Jim in PPP at the start of that stream that he wasn't going to talk, that he was just going to host the OBS hangout like Kraut is doing here right now, and then jumping in halfway through to try and be a hero, and then fumbling it and dropping the ball. I want to apologize on behalf of that to Jim, right? And I want to apologize to all of the many people that have said, why are you troll shielding this fur fag degenerate Steven Universe cosplaying schizo? I want to say sorry. And most of all, PPP, I want to say sorry to you, because you told me straight away. You told me about Leo the Bum Pirate. And I said, no, surely not. Surely not, PPP. Surely it isn't true. But you were right all along. So I want to apologize.
No, I mean, from the very beginning, right? The only reason you brought him on the show was to make me jealous, because you were a jilted lover that I had left the show or whatever. I had Godwinson.
Well, my memory is right. We do the show, and then you do a video where you quit, and I'm like, fuck this. And I...
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, I think I lost connection.
Can anybody hear her?
I can hear you. I can hear you, PPP, but I think Godwinson lost his connection.
I think I cut out. I don't know where I was. What was the last thing you heard?
There's no audio.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you now.
Oh.
We hear you now.
Right. There's no audio. What was the last thing everybody heard in chat? What was the last thing everybody heard? Like, I don't know where I was.
The last...
Cut out.
I forgot what... Something about you apologized for not listening to people about Leopirate. And then... Chat, what was the last thing he said before he lost connection?
Anyway, it was just autistic lore about the show, but now we're on a new golden age with Crowd. A new golden age with PPP and Gahul. It's going to be great. The golden age. It's truly
a golden age. It's the new golden age of Kino and Nectar. We're in a new Project 2 list world. There is no more new Project 2. We won. And now we ride off towards the sunset together after we put down the snake amongst us. And finally just expose him for what he is in the snake apocalypse. It's coming. The snake apocalypse is here. The snakening. I don't know which is it really. Is it the snakening or the snake apocalypse?
Well, now you've said snake apocalypse, I think I'm fully on board with snake apocalypse.
It's the snake apocalypse. It really is. It's the ultimate fucking implosion. The fellowship divided. Boromir has turned against the fellowship. Boromir has tried to seize the one ring of clout for himself and has now become embarrassed and humiliated and exposed as a snake. It's tough.
And there we go. I think that's pretty much the show, unless chat wants to say anything. People are saying expose the grifters. People are saying snakening is better. People are saying the snake will be driven from the garden. People are saying the one starfish and swab the deck and snakes on a plane crashing into towers. People are just spamming F. So I think that's about the end of the stream. Crap, do you have anything to say about being awarded this honor of being our co-host on This Week in Nectar?
I'll just try to keep the show running as well as I can.
Based. Kraut redeemed. Kraut fully redeemed. Don't you agree, PPP?
Exactly. Kraut's a legend, and Kraut is going to help us burn it down. It's all being destroyed. The truth is all being revealed. The true snake is going to be exposed in the snake apocalypse. It's here. It's
so you committed to snake apocalypse there.
Standing on the edge of the snake apocalypse. Leo in a fursuit. Oh fuck.
Look, I mean, Cautionary tale. If 10 years ago you set upon your own family pet and decided to have sex with the family pet, don't become a Gamergate icon. Don't self-insert yourself into a drama, continuing dramas 10 years down the line, because people will just find out that you fucked your dog 10 years ago. And this is the fate of Leopirate.
No! Oh, Lord, no. Godwinson, say it ain't so.
Well, the guy is somewhat trepidatious about the Kiwi Farms thread, so I don't know what's in this guy's past. I just think he's a total degenerate. But that's by the by. We're in a golden age! A golden age! And I want to thank you all for keeping with us. The truth is out there. Watch the skies. Juice.
Is there anything you would like to play as an outro? Outro, I should say.
Oh, you can play the bloody riot footage that PPP took today. The Black Lives Matter versus PPP.
Right, I'll play that then. Okay.
Guard shock over there, buddy?
Yeah. Is Charlottesville drift about to happen? There's more than I thought.
How many of them are locals, though?
Not as many as you'd think.
Well, I wouldn't think very many, buddy.
Yeah, none of them are local. There's a professional photographer sneaking in the back. Look at them go, though. Notice how 90% of them are white. You know what I mean?
It's a bunch of stupid idiots.
There's Jordan McRae. No, it's not him.
You recognize any of them, dox them.
That's not what we do.
Other race traders, but
No, that's still not what we do. So once we get to the tail end of this procession, let's try and cut them back up off at Water Street. Because it looks like there's not many left. They're starting an I Can't Breathe chant. So you know what I mean? They didn't even do their planned speeches at noon. They just started the march. So I don't know if they're gonna do their speeches at the police station. But they've got a good crowd here. They have a similar crowd to the last Antifa rally, and they have way more signs.
no one's staring at us.
Wow, we're just standing in solidarity. You know.
Oh, God.
You know.
Keep an eye on them.
Yeah, you keep my 6 there.
Murdered for $20.
There's Toad McKeno. Toad McJudas. This is fucked. This is gonna be a clusterfuck, buddy. Look at like the old guy. You know, what is he thinking? Like, what is this guy thinking? I'm sure this is social distance, though. Yeah?
Oh, very social distance, buddy. They're even wearing their masks.
You know, that's the only issue, really. But these people are just, like, dumbfounded. They're like, what the fuck? What's happened? Dude, we're gonna just cut this. This procession's gonna go for another 15 minutes, boys, so there's no one.
You gotta think, it's been like this for months.
Yeah, this is what it's like under coronavirus. Like, there's nothing. Hundreds of people outside. I gotta say there's at least 300 people. Maybe 400 or 500 people have turned out. I didn't expect this type of turnout, so we're cutting through the mall. We'll see you on the flip side.